Okay, hello once again. So we're going to be talking a little bit about traditional lessons. And so reason why I want to give a little bit of a start with this is to really help you understand and looking at the differences between inquiry-based lessons and just a traditional lesson. So in order to do that, we need to see an example of what a traditional looks like. Now, there might be a lot of education research gone into this type of lesson, so it may be better than a lesson you might have seen elsewhere in some regards. But still, it is on some levels a traditional lesson. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I've already asked you, and if we haven't done this already, to kind of talk about what is motion, to define it. And I want you to do that without using the words moving or movement. Then you should have already seen a little I Spy activity with another video where we're trying again to figure out what is motion. And so what does it mean when we say something is motion? So we're going to start with this group question where imagine if you were in class, talk to your neighbor. You have the following. A person is sitting in the passenger seat of a car that is traveling down a street. Describe that person as seen by each of the following observers. So a person sitting in the back seat of the car, how do they see that person? A person standing on the sidewalk as the car passes by, how do they see the person sitting in the passenger seat? And then finally, the driver of a second car moving in the same direction and passing the first car. How does that person see the person sitting in the passenger seat? Well, if we think about it, they're all looking at that same person sitting in the passenger seat, but depending upon perspective, we see some things happening differently. The one sitting in the back seat of the car, they're the same distance apart. So to them, it doesn't really look like they're moving anywhere. The person standing on the sidewalk sees a car go by. They see them moving in one direction, but the second car passing the first car sees them actually moving behind them. So when we're talking about motion, we can't just say that something is moving because really what we're talking about is changing a position with respect to an observer. So in that first case of sitting in the backseat of the car, the position between the person in the backseat and the person in the passenger seat, that position's not changing. We want to say that person is moving because we automatically in our brain we're looking at the person in the passenger seat with respect to the ground outside. So with respect to the ground outside, yes, they are moving. So let me ask you this. Now, there's always some Peters out there, but I want you to think about the question and ignore the minor stuff like me breathing because I'm not going to, hold my breath for terribly long for this video. The blood flow, all that kind of fun stuff. The question is, am I moving right now? So if you haven't pause it now and write down the answer. Am I moving right now? Well, neglecting, like I said, the breathing and all that fun stuff, but it's kind of a trick question because I'm not really giving you a reference frame. With respect to the chair I'm sitting in, with respect to the ground, no, not moving. I'm not changing position. I'm not going anywhere. But now, if we're talking about with respect to the center of the earth, or if we're talking about with respect to the sun, yeah, I am moving. If you've all been to Epcot, remember the big globe as soon as you walk in? What's that ride called? It's called Spaceship Earth. Because Earth is, in a way, if you think about it, a huge spaceship just moving through space. So it's changing its position with respect to the sun. So now how do we measure motion? Well, I want you to watch the following. And again, you have access to all of these slides, so you can go in and you can click on the videos and click on the links. So just watch the following video.
One, 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 one.
Okay, so what we see here, I want you to think about this first. What did Eugenia try to do to get herself moving? How did she actually start moving? Well, when she tried to get herself moving, she's kicking in the air, she's waving her hands, she's doing all these funky little things, but she doesn't actually move. She doesn't start moving until David comes along and pushes her. So, how do we measure that motion? Once she was in motion, well, you heard David go time one, one, one. Well, it's a stopwatch with a sound clicking off seconds, and Eugenia was making the marks on the board. I actually call that a metronome. It's any device that makes a sound in regular intervals. So we're actually going to go ahead and try this. So we're going to do a video. We're going to do a lab virtually like this, and we're going to replicate this experiment. So let's go ahead, stop the video here. I'm going to want you to go watch that one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.